Okay, yeah, that's right, the great and glorious, soon to be famous one day, Nick Dutch, continuing on this massive marathon of YouTube videos that I'm doing looking into science, the occult, and basically trying to find ways of rectifying the two of them. I'm doing a short series now on pseudoscience. Again, I'm going to refer this to articles on Wikipedia so that you can refer to it yourself, and we'll just do a bit of discussion about what pseudoscience is, and I'm going to hopefully be able to demonstrate to you that it's only under some circumstances that the occult, magic, the supernatural, and the rest of it is pseudoscience, and what I'm trying to do is to stop it from being pseudoscience, which is part of my mission in life, so to speak, especially here on YouTube. Right, okay, according to Wikipedia, pseudoscience is a term applied to any knowledge, methodology, belief or practice that is claimed to be scientific, or that is made to appear to be scientific, but which does not adhere to the scientific method. Now, we've already had a look at the scientific method. We know that there are, on the basis of what we've already discussed, there are ways of actually using the scientific method in a broad and creative way, using some aspects of positivism, some aspects of anti-positivism, and still be within the remit of science, provided, of course, that our reasoning is good enough behind what we're doing, behind what we're looking at. All right. Now, the wordings here, it says the term is applied to any knowledge, which is a little over the top. It sounds a little absolute, or methodology. So essentially, if someone was against sociology, the whole of the body of knowledge of sociology could be regarded as being pseudoscience. Or indeed, if you're a sociologist and you're talking to a neuroscientist who's only using positivist analysis to the human brain, then sociologists might say, well, there's something's wrong with what you're talking about, so therefore you're pseudoscientist as well. So this term itself has issues, and it seems to be being used as a form of insult or a way of expressing prejudice or ridicule without actually thinking very closely about the methodologies which have been applied to try and work out what's happening in the natural world. So this is despite the fact that both the positivistic and the anti-positivistic points of view and the empirical point of view and empirical methodology all have their merits. But when you're designing your experiments, you actually have to sort of think a little further, outside the box, so to speak. But so long as we're still doing it in a way which follows aspects of the scientific method, then it's not pseudoscience. And that's an important thing to bear in mind. If we're just talking about belief, then I would personally say that that is more likely to be pseudoscience because it's based upon belief. So creation science is based upon belief and is disproven in a great, massive way. Also says lack supporting evidence, so the accumulation of evidence is essential. Or plausibility. Now, again, with the word plausibility, we've got issues because the word plausibility is again only used within certain remits or within certain subjects. Things are regarded as being unplausible if or lack plausibility if they would somehow disagree with someone's view of the world. So that's actually a very woolly definition. And if we're going to be scientific about the world, we can't realistically use that. Or otherwise lack scientific status. And again, that's rather woolly because if you're a positivistic science and you're looking at anti-positivistic science, you may even be inclined to say that lacks scientific status. So a lot of the definitions of pseudoscience are, in their own right, rather pseudoscientific. I think that's called irony. I'm not sure. I'll look that up later on. The term comes from the Greek root pseudo, false or pretending, and science from Latin scientia, meaning knowledge. An early recorded use was 1843 by French physiologist Francois Megendi, who considered a pioneer in experimental physiology. As is taught in certain introductory science classes, pseudoscience is any subject that appears superficially to be scientific, or whose proponents state that it is scientific, but which nevertheless contravenes the testability requirements, or substantiality deviates from other fundamental aspects of the scientific method. Alright, so if we're going to do occult experiments, we've got to make sure that there's, we can test them and find ways of following the scientific method. So long as we can do that, we're basically okay. But on the other hand, certain sociological phenomena can be tested but not necessarily repeated. So even some aspects of the scientific method need to be had a look at in quite a big way. Professor Paul de Hart's-Hurd argued that a large part of gaining scientific literacy is being able to distinguish science from pseudoscience, such as astrology, quackery, or the occult and superstition. Well, it depends what he means by the occult. And definitely we can lump superstition in with pseudoscience, because superstition is essentially based purely upon belief concepts, like saying that if I fast on a Thursday, it'll make a hurricane happen in Tunisia. So I better not fast on a Thursday. That will be superstition. There's no way of telling whether fasting on a Thursday would create a hurricane in Tunisia. So that would be superstition. Throw it out the window. Okay. Certain introductory survey classes in science take care to delineate the objections which scientists and skeptics have to practices to make direct claims contradicted by scientific discipline in question. So, I'm not confused about the use of the word occult there, because obviously we've already discovered that there is a history of prejudice against metaphysical concepts that came out of the philosophical school of positivism. We've learned that already, okay? So we can see why there would be prejudice against the occult, as it says there on the screen, on this part of Wikipedia. But on the other hand, it's not, I could click on the word occult and see what their definition of it is, but I'm sure, hopefully by now, you understand that I'm talking about experimenting into the supernatural, and not just a group of beliefs. Where are we now? Okay, running low on time. I'll carry on the next video. Just a second.